Hey guys, Jared Bronstein here and welcome to another video here on Life's Biggest Questions. Today we'll be looking into the whereabouts of the hypothetical Planet 9. Where is it? What do we know about it? And is it even real? Well, these are all questions that we will in fact get to later on. But for now, just a friendly reminder to subscribe and click the bell icon. I'll also be replying to some of my favorite comments from a previous video at the end of this one. But for now, let's get right into the video and start talking about the incredibly intriguing Planet 9. So what exactly is Planet 9? Well, it seems no one really knows for sure. Now, it may seem silly talking about something called Planet 9 and then saying no one really knows what it is or where it is. I mean, it's obviously a planet, right? Yes, it seems that's exactly what it is. But unfortunately, we can't say for sure. Let's go back to the beginning to make sense of this mess of a situation. Back in 1846, after Neptune was discovered, there was speculation of another planet possibly existing beyond its orbit. Following decades of research, Clyde Tombaugh continued the research of Percival Lowell and would eventually end up discovering Pluto. However, it wouldn't be before long that astronomers would conclude Pluto wasn't the planet Lowell believed existed beyond Neptune because it was too small. However, there were other theories which date back to before Pluto's discovery that may be evidence of Planet 9. George Forbes suggested there were two trans-Neptunian planets back in 1880. That means planets beyond Neptune's orbit. One of the planets had an average distance from the Sun of 100 astronomical units, which is 100 times that of Earth, while the other had a 300 AU distance from the Sun. Forbes' theory is very similar to that of more recent theories which believe the planets would be responsible for a clustering of the orbits of several objects. The discovery of Sedna's orbit, which was discovered back in 2004, led many to believe the planetoid in our outer solar system had encountered an unknown planet in a distant orbit, which could have possibly been Planet 9. Then in March of 2014, another Senoid was discovered, which had a similar orbit to the 2004 discovery. This fueled speculation that there was an unknown super-Earth far out in our solar system. That same year, astronomers Chad Trujillo and Scott Shepard discovered a dwarf planet at the edge of our solar system, which led them to believe there is in fact a Planet 9, or another unknown planet which is larger than Earth. Then, in 2016, Konstantin Batygin, a theoretical astrophysicist at the California Institute of Technology, Caltech, in Pasadena, and Mike Brown, Batygin's colleague, did more research on the unknown planet which they called Planet 9. Although not everyone is convinced this planet does even exist in the first place, it seems a handful of astronomers and researchers have their sights set on proving it does. So where exactly is Planet 9? Well, it seems no one does know for sure, but there is a ton of evidence and research giving us a good indication of where it most likely is. The belief is that this planet could be up to 1,000 AU away, which means there's tons of undiscovered space, no pun intended, that needs to be searched high and low. As of now, the search has covered just 20 to 25% of premium sky, where it's believed Planet 9 may be hiding. Currently using Japan's 26-foot Subaru telescope, both pairs of researchers have also questioned if the telescope is able to capture such a small object. Now you may think if the planet is 5 to 10 times the size of Earth, how can it be so hard to see? Well, 1 AU is approximately 93 million miles. As previously mentioned, Planet 9 could be up to 1,000 AU away, but the most recent research has led astronomers to believe it may have an orbital distance of 400 to 500 AU. This means the planet could be easier to spot than originally thought, yet the scope they're currently using may not be well equipped enough to get the job done. But just because the planet hasn't officially been discovered, doesn't mean it's non-existent. Oh no, no, no. In fact, they're saying this planet may be discovered within the next 10 years if all goes as planned. The Large Synoptic Survey Telescope is expected to go online in Chile sometime in the decade of 2020, maybe 2021, 2022, and it's believed that will be the tool that will be able to capture this Planet 9 that has eluded our sights for centuries. Of course, there is the very slight possibility that the planet itself doesn't exist, but the odds are quite literally 0.1% based on science. Personally, I do believe it's out there, and it's just a matter of time before it's discovered in its entirety. So then where exactly is this planet? Well, as I previously mentioned, and if you couldn't tell by now, no one knows for sure. It's somewhere out in space, but that's also quite a vague answer. Some believe that NASA has actually captured photos of the planet without them even realizing it. In April of 2018, NASA launched its Transiting Exoplanet Survey Satellite, TESS. There's a widespread belief the satellite has snapped a pic of Planet 9, considering how it's believed to have snapped pictures of the entire southern hemisphere of space. However, if it's in the northern hemisphere, well, it's just a matter of time until it's discovered. Some believe the planet could possibly be hiding behind Neptune and may not be discovered for another 1,000 years. I don't think that is the case, as it seems most likely that, especially given how quickly we advance technology, it won't be long before we officially find Planet 9. With that being said, my best educated guess, based on scientific evidence, is that the planet is most certainly beyond Neptune. Although some even went as far as claiming that Planet 9 could possibly be a black hole, others are set in their belief it's a planet, which would explain a lot of unanswered questions regarding space. So to wrap this one up, truthfully, no one knows for sure where Planet 9 is. However, there is a very widespread belief it is hundreds of millions of miles from Neptune, and it will be discovered in the next 10, possibly even 5 years. So let me know in the comments below if you think Planet 9 even does exist and when you think it'll be discovered. For now, let's reply to some comments from the video. What if we had to abandon Earth tomorrow? Just some guy without a mustache said, maybe we can all take Elon Musk's Cybertruck and die together. Well, I mean, the Cybertruck has bulletproof windows, apparently, which apparently aren't actually bulletproof, but at least we know we'd be safe from any bullets that possibly came at us. I also don't think the Cybertruck could fly, but I'm sure that's like a feature that Elon will add in because, you know, he always adds fun things into his cars. So maybe he'll just add wings and like a rocket ship and you can just fly away or something. I don't know. It's Elon. You never know with him. Hoop Review said we would die and the rich would be able to live a little longer. I don't know why you think that. I think at that point, if we're at a point where we had to abandon Earth tomorrow, I think money goes out the door. I think people don't care about money anymore because it won't matter in a day. You got to abandon Earth. Money doesn't matter. You can just go back to like the barter system for those who still are alive. So I don't think the rich would necessarily have an advantage. Maybe they would, but I don't think so. Landon Crockett said, title, what if we abandon Earth tomorrow? Me who has school tomorrow. Freedom! I would not trade that. I think school is much better than the end of the Earth. Don't you? Is school really that bad nowadays, guys? I haven't been in school for, it's been about 4 or 5 years now when I graduated college, but I really hope school's not that bad. Nisox Demon said, let's just say all the rich people would survive and the rest would be dead. Am I right? Okay, hypothetical, guys. I have a bomb shelter. Someone comes up to me, they go, I'll give you $1 million cash if I could stay in your bomb shelter instead of you. I wouldn't be like, yeah, I mean, you know, Earth's, you know, we got to abandon Earth by tomorrow, but I'll take your $1 million cash. No problem, man. I need money. Like, money wouldn't matter at this point because we'd have to abandon Earth anyways. So the idea that the rich would have an advantage, it's non-existent because money isn't a way to, I guess, measure status when you have to abandon Earth tomorrow. Unfortunately, it's a way to measure status, or to some people, in today's society. But if you had to leave Earth tomorrow, I don't think money would matter at all. I think it's survival of the fittest, but those that could adapt the best. So whoever is really able to get into a rocket ship or a spaceship, maybe they'd be able to somehow survive, but even that, I think, is slim to none. Space is one of the most interesting yet difficult things to understand. Since the beginning of the human race, we've studied it, tried to understand it, and continue to learn more on a regular basis.
But given how large space is, appearing to go on forever, as you can imagine, we've ended up with more questions than answers. Are aliens real? What's a black hole? How do we find another dimension?
Some of these questions may never be answered. Others have been in the past. We know there's no oxygen in space, nor gravity. We also know a lot of the planets we've discovered are uninhabitable for humans. But maybe that's due to the fact that the solar system works the way it does.
As we know, the planets revolve around the sun, which leads to certain planets being hotter or colder, and lighter or darker at certain times throughout the day, month, or even years, depending on which planet you're on.
But what if they suddenly stopped? Today on Life's Biggest Questions, we're asking, what if all planets stopped revolving around the sun? How's it going, guys? I'm one of your hosts, Jared Bronstein.
And I'm your other host, Keegan Hughes. Before we get into things, be sure to let us know what other videos you'd like to see on our channel and stick around until the very end for some bonus content.
For those of you unaware, the 8 planets in the solar system revolve around the sun as they orbit in their own rotations. This is due to the sun's gravitational pull, which is why the planets orbit around the sun in a pretty consistent way, and they don't go directly into the burning star or fly too far away from it. All in all, the planets have been orbiting the same way for some time now, and are actually an indication of a calendar year on Earth. Depending which planet you're on, a calendar year on Earth can take as little as 3 months, or 88 days, as is the case with Mercury, or as long as 164.8 years, which is the case with Neptune. However, if the planets stop going around the sun, the way they have since the beginning of time, it would be much tougher to keep track of the calendar year. As you can imagine, that's just the tip of the iceberg when talking about all the problems that would likely arise if this actually did happen. Even though the chances are next to impossible, it's a scary thought to think about. Again, you don't have to worry this will ever happen, but if it did, I mean, it would certainly be much worse than our current situation. The idea of day and night is still plausible, as the Earth would technically still be spinning, just on the spot. This means that our day-to-day lives wouldn't appear to be much different, at least in regards to the sun rising and setting and the moon appearing in the sky. Still, as you could imagine, if all the planets just orbited on the spot, things would happen, and they would happen rather quickly.
Another possibility would be that planets just stop. Like, it's not very possible, but it's the question we're asking. What if the orbital velocity of some planets hit 0? That would be a very interesting and very destructive situation. Take Earth, for example, which has an orbital velocity of 30 kilometers per second. If the planet were to suddenly stop revolving around the sun, everything would keep moving for a bit. You know, inertia. Things in motion tend to stay in motion. So a full sudden stop would mean that everything on the surface of Earth would still be moving for a bit. 30 kilometers per second worth of inertia. Try to imagine it. It's kind of nuts. Earth's escape velocity is around 11 kilometers per second. Uh-oh. It's possible that everything and anything would then just be thrown out into space. Just like that, people, places, and things once happily situated on the surface of our planet, now floating around aimlessly in the cold, dark expanse. Anything that wasn't able to make the jump would then be smashed to smithereens. Scrambled egg planet. Not ideal for everyone. Of course, different planets are moving at different rates and have different exit velocities, but you can see how that would be bad for them too. And if the revolution stopped, it wouldn't be too likely that it would start up again.
Now, touching on the fact that we're talking about all the planets and not just Earth, let's talk about how the other planets would potentially be affected as well. To no surprise, anything that would happen to Earth would happen to Mercury and Venus first, as they are closer to the sun, meaning if the Earth would eventually be drawn into the sun's pull, it would happen after Mercury and Venus would be turned into dust, or I guess ash would be a better comparison. However, the planets behind Earth, when looking at those from closest to furthest from the sun, which include Mars to Neptune and everything in between, likely wouldn't have the same fate. Of course, it depends on why the planets were to stop revolving around the sun in the first place. If the orbiting stopped due to the fact that the sun no longer had a gravitational pull, then odds are each planet would drift off into space, potentially into the sun, while others would go the other way. All in all, the solar system would no longer be intact, and all the planets would be floating around space, waiting for the day they inevitably bump into something else, whether that be a star, another planet, or whatever else is potentially floating around in space. On the flip side, if the sun still had its gravitational pull, and for whatever reason, the planets stopped spinning in their orbits, then as previously mentioned, it seems more likely than not that the planets just start to head right for the sun.
To round it all out, let's discuss why this kind of thing would happen. It's not very likely within our lifetime, but eventually everything we know will be dead and gone. Lovely thought, right? But hey, we all know that stars die and our sun is a star. So someday it'll stop being the solar powerhouse that we all know and love. If the sun dies, the solar system will be altered forever. The best estimate scientists have is that around 5 billion years from now, the sun will run out of energy. When that fuel is gone, the sun will start growing drastically. Over time, it'll expand so much that it overtakes a large part of our solar system. Planets closer to the sun will get consumed and burned to a crisp, while other chillier planets and more far-off reaches will possibly be warmed up to the point of being habitable. Who knew? Pluto may have its day in the sun after all. Another possibility, however unlikely, is that something else might come in and cause the planets to stop revolving around the sun. Something bigger and denser and with an insane gravitational pull. Now, wouldn't that be exciting? At that point, all sorts of stuff would change, as it would need to be a truly monstrous body to change up our solar system and overtake the sun. The large distances between things in the solar system would also make it so that these changes happen gradually over long periods of time. They'd become apparent eventually, but we wouldn't likely be around to notice.
So all in all, solar system's pretty legit. I like it.
I'd say it's legit. It's hard to prove otherwise.
It's pretty, you know, like on a scale of just like killing it to just sucking, I think it's killing it right now.
Oh, it's definitely on the killing it side.
It's on the scale of killing it for sure.
Big time.
I mean, look, I don't know about you guys. I like life. I like Xbox. I like things. So
yeah. Isn't it weird, like how if like the sun were to make like a major change, like we wouldn't know we would never know, because like the change that happened would take so long to get to us.
That's
we
true.
just like we wouldn't notice it, right? Like it's like
I mean, eventually the sun is going to become a red star, right?
Oh god.
No, sorry, a red dwarf.
Red dwarf, yeah. It's gonna die and it's gonna expand all that fuel.
It's gonna supernova, bro. It's gonna explode and kill everything on Earth. But guess what? We're not gonna have to worry about that.
We don't have to.
We're gonna be so long gone.
We're gonna be dead in the ground, like, you know, turned into coal, and then somebody would dig up that coal and use it as fuel before we got even close to, you know, seeing that happen.
Isn't it like hundreds of millions of years or billions of years?
Oh, it's billions. Yeah,
billions?
Definitely billions. It's just it's weird to think about that, right? Like we see it and we think it's always there, but like we're seeing like light that's been cast like years and years ago, right? Like
really the crazy thing is we know it's gonna happen eventually.
Yeah.
We know, you know, billions of years down the road, but for all we know, on Earth and humans, like all this might have happened already.
Oh yeah.
And then the sun just blew up and then killed everything and then it just started again. And now here we are being like, we're figuring all this out for the first time, when in reality we're not. It's just like Groundhog Day but with different people.
Yeah, exactly. We've got like the
Same thing over and over
multiverses.
again.
We've got just like the same universe happening over and over again with like one little thing different.
It's
you know,
crazy.
like Jared's birthday was a day before in the last iteration of this.
I was,
I was actually 6 feet
I was gonna
instead
say,
of
I was
just
a few
imagining.
inch taller.
Yeah.
I was 5'9" instead of 5'8" and 3 3/4 of an inch, but I just tell people 5'9" instead in this reality. So we're just gonna stick with 5'9". Well, on that note, guys, we're gonna wrap this one up. We could talk about space all day, but let us know in the comments down below if you guys believe in alternate realities, because I think in one, maybe I'm 5'10" and a half, maybe, but for now we'll just stick with 5'9", I guess. It's fine.
We've also got some comments from the top 10 scary things that these Simpsons actually predicted correct. Terminator 156 says, I like to think it was all coincidence.
It's been a lot of coincidences then.
I think everything is a coincidence. I don't think anything happens like without being a coincidence.
You gotta expand on that.
I just mean like the likelihood of anything happening is like so like
saying at
crazy
random.
low. Like the fact that like humans exist, the fact that we were like born and survived. Like I think everything's a coincidence. We didn't will ourselves into existence. It
So you
just
think
sort of
everything was
happened.
just random, it just happened?
Yeah, absolutely. Everything's chaos.
It's possible. Yeah, I can see that.
How else do you
Yeah.
explain where we're at right now?
It's true. Yeah, things just kind of happen. There is really no rhyme or reason.
It
Things
really
just
do
happen.
be that way.
Juwan said, we know the Simpsons have a time machine. Do you know that though?
I bet you Juwan works in the writer's room. It's
100%.
like, yeah, we know.
That's
they've got
really
a time
mad. 100% it's actually Macaroni's like fake ghost account.
machine. It's his dwarf account.
He's
It's
like,
fine.
don't let them catch on. He's just typing away.
Nate 100 says, sometimes I blamed the Simpsons for all of this.
I didn't know if they meant like the pandemic or their lives, everything that happens in their lives.
Every
personally.
coincidence. We're
Like
back to
anything
everything
that
being a
happens
coincidence. It's
in-
the Simpsons' fault that everything's a coincidence. If there weren't strange Simpsonian people, then we would have more control over our lives, I think.
I mean, I know there's this whole thing about like the lizard people.
Yeah.
But hypothetically, what if, the Simpsons do exist underground? What if you
Yeah, like Springfield is a place.
like literally like there's like yellow
they're
people
controlling everything.
with blue hair,
Yeah, big eyes.
but they have all kinds of hair. Because like Bart technically has yellow hair.
Yeah, and Lisa,
Technically.
right? Like it's part of their head.
Spiky.
But they're like the only characters that look like that, right? Like everyone
And
else in
has
The
hair.
Simpsons like is either bald or has hair.
'Cause,
But
like,
like
yeah, Moe-
Bart, Lisa, and Maggie
yeah.
are all just like
Because
their
even
hairs.
Homer has the hair.
Yeah.
Marge has the hair.
Yes.
Moe, Barney, they all have hair. And I never thought about that. Mr. Burns.
Yeah.
They all have it. Interesting.
Anybody else would just look funny without actual hair.
But the main characters, aside from Homer and Marge. Hey guys, welcome back to Life's Biggest Questions. Once again, we'll be exploring a fascinating question involving one of my favorite topics, space. Today's question is, what if the Earth was the only planet? As always, I'll be replying to some of your more clever comments from a previous video at the end of this one. And just a friendly reminder to subscribe, click that bell icon, and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy it. I'm your host, Jared Bronstein, and let me know below what you'd think would happen if the Earth was the only planet. We recently did a video, what if one planet disappeared from our solar system, in which I discussed quite exactly that. What would happen if each one of our planets disappeared from the solar system? Of course, the repercussions ranged from the end of the world to not much happening, at least here on Earth, depending which planet was removed. Some of the things that happened did happen because there were other planets still involved, which stopped some good or bad things from happening to Earth. But if Earth was the only planet out there, well, that changes everything. As you may or may not know, the solar system works like a well-oiled machine. Every planet does its part to keep things the way they are. Whether that includes Venus's disappearance making the Earth a little bit darker, or Jupiter no longer holding the asteroid belt in place, all the planets in our solar system definitely have a purpose. And if removing one planet has an effect on the solar system, imagine what removing every planet aside from the Earth would do. And if you can't imagine, then just listen carefully, because I'm about to explain. Now, if it isn't obvious enough, without any other planets in our solar system, the odds of the human race surviving is slim to none. As previously mentioned, each planet in the solar system has a purpose, and whether that purpose affects Earth in a big or small way is irrelevant. Without a single planet, there would be changes. Without any of the planets, aside from Earth of course, well, there would most certainly be significant changes. For starters, we don't know where the Earth would end up. The sun's gravitational pull wouldn't necessarily be stronger, so it's not like we'd get pulled into the sun. But there is the possibility that the Earth moves closer to the sun than it already is, and we leave what is known as the habitable zone. This ends up with Earth getting too hot and the human race ceasing to exist because we simply can't stand the scorching hot temperatures. We all die a fiery death. Not a good look. And there's also the possibility the opposite happens. We move further away from the sun, once again no longer in the habitable zone, and the Earth gets extremely cold. We're not talking Canadian winter cold, we're talking Ice Age cold. Then again, what's the difference? All joking aside, we get to the point that we all freeze over and once again, no humans left, no good. And we haven't even gotten to the goods yet. This is what would happen assuming we ended up closer or further away from the sun than we currently are. There's still plenty more that would happen both on Earth and in space if there were no other planets left. At the start of this video, I mentioned Jupiter holds the asteroid belt in place. It also shields the Earth, two things that wouldn't happen if Earth was the only planet. So if it's not freezing cold or insanely hot temperatures that do us in, it may very well be the thousands of asteroids that would most likely be crashing into the Earth quite frequently. On top of Jupiter no longer acting as the Earth's shield, all the asteroids that are normally sitting in the asteroid belt would start flying all over the place. The odds that we don't get hit by 1 or 2 or a few hundred is slim to none. Of course, there's also the fear that we don't have a backup plan in regards to finding a new home. But then again, this would most likely be the least of our concern, considering how Earth wouldn't be habitable in the first place, and we'd all die relatively quickly. So let's talk about Earth. Of course, the gravitational pull of other planets and the way our solar system works helps keep the Earth rotating a certain way. But if the Earth were to move, everything would change. The moon wouldn't have the same effect on Earth it currently does, meaning not only would the Earth be much darker at night, but our oceans would also be all out of whack. The moon's gravitational pull also controls our tides here on Earth, meaning the water wouldn't be moving at all. It'd just sit there. Or would it? We also need to consider that the Earth's rotation would be totally different from what it is now. This would certainly change the way things are on Earth, whether that means our gravity is significantly reduced or natural disasters such as tsunamis or hurricanes and tornadoes start wreaking havoc. Seasons would also change. We wouldn't have the 4 seasons we currently have. Of course, the outcome of the Earth would really depend on where it ended up. Now, one thing is for sure, without the other planets doing what they've been doing all these years, we would most definitely be in some serious trouble. Thankfully, it seems like all of our planets are staying put, at least that we're aware of. Unless some catastrophic event somehow happens and all of the planets are either destroyed or get pushed out of the solar system, I think we'll be okay. With that being said, I still want to know what you guys think would possibly happen if Earth was the only remaining planet. Would we find a way to survive, or is it an immediate death? Let me know below. For now, let's reply to some comments from the video. What if Baby Yoda were real? Grey World said, answer, we will get the physical embodiment of adorable. I can't argue that, you're 100% right. Baby Yoda is like the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life. Forget puppies, forget kids, forget kittens. Baby Yoda, those big eyes, and it's got like a little cute green face. Adorable. It's also like a little teacup size. You could hold it in your arms and your hands. Like, humans are so millennial. Baby Yoda said, great life would be. I get it. Yeah, no, you did a good job, Baby Yoda. You did a good job. I mean, but you can't even talk. You just say goo goo gaga and stuff. So what do you type in comments for? Nicholas Lindsay said, knowing today's society, he probably would end up in a zoo or carnival as a sideshow attraction, unfortunately. Yeah, you're 100% right, my friend. It'd be like the next Harambe. Like, someone would just want to like pet it or touch it or pick it up, and it would just use the force and kill somebody. And then we'd probably kill Baby Yoda and be like, whoa, I mean, you know, we had to defend the human. But it's like, bro, Harambe was just doing his thing, and someone let a kid fall in the enclosure. What do you think the gorilla's gonna do, man? Anyways, guys, I'm clearly still heated about a meme from 2016 or 2017, however many years ago it was. But it's more than just a meme. We lost a gorilla, guys. An innocent gorilla. Anyways, I digress. Moving on. I've been Jared Bronstein. You guys have been watching LBQ. Make sure to share this video with a friend that enjoys anything space related. And of course, drop me some comments down below, letting me know your thoughts on what would happen if we were the only planet out in space. We'll see you guys in the next video.